Hey everybody, I'm Shamrock Sean. This is a 99 Prevost entertainer coach fresh off a tour. We're gonna go get her cleaned up, go down the highway and talk through some stuff. Stay tuned. All right guys, I've already done my pre-trip. I've already gone through everything. I got my lights on. We're gonna kill those before we take off. I was hooked up to shore power at the house. I've got everything buttoned up back in this third bay. I have the adapter, I got the breaker off, and I got the 220 volt cable all spooled up and put away. I just don't want to forget it. I don't want it to walk away. When you guys are gonna see me doing my first startup at the beginning of this video, you're gonna see all the belts are gonna be really loose. Everything on this motor is actually done by air tensioner. So we'll check it out now. We'll see that it's actually gonna be pretty good. Yeah, so as you guys can see, it's actually pretty dirty, but we're hoping to fix that today. So what I did is, when I started it with a cold start, you'll see in that first part of the video, it kind of looks like the belts are going to be thrown off. I let it idle on its own, get nice and stable, and let those tensioners air up. Then I threw her on the high idle, and I continued my pre-trip, did my logbook, and checked all my paperwork. So, yeah, this is a 99 Prevost XL 45. It's an entertainer coach. Had the blind closed because the reason I have it right now is the generator is getting repaired up in Montreal. So this is kind of like a heat barrier because I got the actual in-dash heat from the drivetrain, but the actual coach body itself isn't being heated right now because there's no generator. So real quick, I'm gonna clean it, so I'll keep my boots on for now. It's a 12 bunk with a rear lounge. So this is the rear lounge. I was gonna run some space heaters, so I'm just gonna close the blinds for a bit of a thermal barrier for later. But this girl is 20 years old and still working quite hard all over Canada and the US. She's owned by Gypsy Wind Custom Coach, owned by Mike McLean and his wife Heidi, and they run a top-notch operation. Just gonna lay that down so it doesn't startle me or get on the video. So Mike and Heidi run a top-notch operation, and I'm just a relief driver for them. I have another career, so I can't go full-time on the entertainer, but I can still have some fun here and there. So we're gonna go about 20 minutes up to another bus yard where I've arranged for a wash, and my hands are freezing, so pardon any shakes. Alrighty, I love these old school controls. Turn that down a bit. Personally, when I'm driving coach, I like to keep my lights on. I like to keep my fog lights on, not just because it looks cool, but if I do have any issues. I don't want there to be any reason for someone to say that they didn't see me. So real quick, going through here. Down here we got our power mirrors, we got our spring brake, we got our tag axle, and we got our Robusto. We got our valve select to inflate and deflate the front end and the rear end, just for the airbags. This whole coach is all air ride. We got our Jake, which I leave off when I'm driving coach, even though I don't have any riders right now. I like to leave it off, so that way it's just a nice smooth ride, like oil on glass. Everyone knows that these coaches are pretty smooth, and I'd say, 50% of it is how the coach is built. The other 50% is how it's driven. So we got our cruise control, we got our Allison 6-speed, ignition, high idle, then we got our light controls and our HVAC for the front end. There is some coach body heat in here, but it won't be doing much for us today. We're gonna keep that thermal barrier shut, just focus on the front end. So we do have a Uniden 980 SSB. I got it on 19, even though no one talks on it anymore. And then the driver who's assigned to this bus has his tablet for his ELD and his GPS. So I'm running the paper log today, but I got everything pretty well set up the way that I want for myself right now. I'll be in this for a little bit anyway while they get those repairs done. So I want to be comfortable and safe. So we're going to take off, but before we do, I am going to just make sure that the spring brake is holding. I know I signed off on my pre-trip, but I just want to make sure that it is. So I'm in gear, I'm off the brake, spring brake is holding. So I'll put that back in neutral and release the spring brake, and we're going to take off. And before we get to the end of the driveway, I'm going to try out the service brakes. She was frozen. Brakes are good. All right, so this is going to be a pretty steep turn out of the driveway. I'm going to wait for traffic. I like to idle in and out of anywhere that I'm going. And for this one, I am going to lift that back axle so I'm not dragging any rubber. Point of reference for me when I'm driving coach is I like to try to get to almost the middle of where it is that I want to end up, and then watch my mirror. And that allows me to do a nice 90-degree turn, ending up right where it is that I want to be, which when I'm driving is pretty well right in that left tire track. If I'm keeping myself sitting in that left tire track, I know that I'm going to have a good position in my lane as I go down the road. Now, one thing that I find driving coach is I want everything to be silky smooth like oil on glass. So I don't hammer down on the throttle. Even though I've got a 60 series in the back with a beautiful 6-speed Allison, I have a lot of low end torque and I have a lot of power right from the line. I don't need to show it off. I'm not in a truck pool. I want to take care of this thing. I got a lot of breakables in the back. I got TVs, I got glassware, I got stuff in cupboards that I really don't want to throw all around. So this road that I live on is quite rough, so I'm just going to take it smooth. I'm already doing about 60, so 40 miles an hour, and for this stretch of road, that's just fine. We're still getting warmed up here. So this wheel is not factory. She's a little cold today, but she's pretty comfy, easy to maneuver. I've driven before with a wood grain wheel where the varnish was worn off, and by the end of the day your hands were black with caked in dirt, and it just wasn't a nice feeling whatsoever. But this was a gift to Mike from his wife, and for me, I don't know, I kind of like it with the silver side body on this. It just kind of keeps that whole rock and roll theme going on. Just gonna adjust some of my air pressures here on the front end. Felt I was a little low. There we go. It's much better. It's amazing what a few PSI will do. So that right there was actually a friend of mine. I was a firefighter for 7 years, and one of my best friends on the department, that's his wife. And at the time, I was driving school bus, and she approached me and was looking at getting into some driving, and didn't know if she wanted to go for a full-on CDL or what she wanted to do. And I had highly recommended the company that I was working for at the time. They were a great bunch, and frankly, the only reason that I left them was they didn't have highway coaches like I wanted to get into. So she went to them, and she's doing school transport for students with a minivan, and it's kind of hard to miss me when you drive by my house and I have something different and big each and every day over there. So she waved. Now you guys are going to see a lot of head movement in the video, and that's just because I'm always looking for emergency vehicles. I'm always looking for school buses, looking for animals darting out. And you know, one of these things about driving, whether it's a seated coach or a school bus or an entertainer coach, is you got to be defensive, but you almost have to be offensive a little bit, you know, because we are so big and we are so heavy and we do own the road. We have to have that confidence in our position. So you're going to see a lot of head movements. I want to know what is around me at all times, and I also want to know my egress too, right? I want to know that if further up the line from out of one of these tree lines, if a farmer comes out with his tractor, you know, they're all taking corn off still, I want to know where I can put this bus if I have to. And that's not the goal, but I tell every employer that I'd much rather lay a bus on its side and minimize, you know, damage and injury than involving more people, because I was afraid to actually take my my egress. So this stretch of road, guys, is a lot smoother, so I'm actually gonna get up to the limit. I'm doing 80 now. I personally like to use my cruise. It's a habit. I find in the newer coaches that when you just hit set after you started it, it doesn't always take, so I shut the cruise off, turn the cruise back on. Probably doesn't do anything, but I find that it then takes it when you hit set the first time. And here we go, just a nice beautiful day in Canada, driving a 20-year-old Prevost, going to get her washed. Not a worry in the world. It's heating up quite nicely. Enjoy the view, guys. Alright guys, so as we're going to enter the highway here, I'm going to talk you through a few things. Pretending that we had people on the bus, we don't want that jerk of when you come off the cruise control, so I'm going to actually put my foot on the throttle, shut the cruise control off, and now I'm in control of the deceleration. So we're going to signal everything we're doing. We're going to signal, you know, our intentions, not our actions. And as we come into this, we're definitely going to slow her right down into the curve, thinking that if people were sleeping, they don't want to be thrown all about, they don't want to be rolling over in their bed, they don't want to be, you know, jostled into the window of their seated coach like on a Greyhound or something. So we're just going to take this nice and easy, trying to keep that bus right upright. You know, this manufacturer is known for how soft and fluid the coach can be in the turns, but we're actually trying to counteract that by just keeping it nice and steady. I definitely did come in a little quicker than I should have, and if I had a trailer on with gear, I definitely would have slowed down a lot quicker. I was just a little late getting back onto the video to talk to you. So we're going to see in the mirror here, we have a semi who's actually moving over and kind of leading the pack, letting cars take note. And we're going to get up to a nice merging speed here. We're going to try to use the whole lane. This is just a personal preference. I like to use the whole lane before moving over, because in the past what's happened is I've had people then fly up my right side and cut me off, and then I throw everyone about. But at least that way I'm in control and I can guard myself. I still have egress on that right hand side, and by using that whole lane, I'm then not going to be impeding any traffic, causing anyone to slam on the brakes if I'm doing, 45 mile an hour while they're doing 60 or 70. So we're going to get up to about 110 kilometers an hour, hovering around the high 68 mile an hour range, 110 kilometers maybe. I'm going to set the cruise and enjoy the beautiful morning.
Music bed.
Alright everybody, that's the end of my first video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm still figuring out how to edit and how to do all this, so hopefully you guys tune in next time. Hopefully I have some more great bus content. I'm thinking the next video is going to be a tour of this bus once I get it cleaned up post-tour. Alright, have a great day guys. Be safe.